the world. I could feel all this death.
Everything they've built will fall! And from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one!
A 5.2 earthquake rattled Southern California at 1:04 this morning. The quake was centered 13 miles north-northwest near Borrego Springs, which is roughly 100 miles from Los Angeles. The quake was felt on the west side of Los Angeles and as far away as San Diego. So far, there are no reports of damage or injuries at this time.
Science tells us that the Cascadia subduction zone suffers a catastrophic rupture about every 300 to 500 years. It's been 316 years since it last happened.
We are currently activated at level 1, fully activated here in the state. You will see in response to an earthquake and tsunami.
Cascadia Rising is about making sure that we are prepared as well as we can be.
So my folks and my staff have been working on preparing this for about 2.5 years and building different activities to ensure that our government is as prepared as possible. We'll never be. It's going to be devastating, but we're going to be as prepared as we possibly can be.
If you do not have your mind ready, whether you're a first responder or whether you're a citizen who's prepared for one of these incidents, when it occurs, you're going to be surprised and you're going to be off your game, if you will, to be able to take the appropriate actions in the appropriate amount of time.
What's happening here is in the event of an earthquake, we're going to expect a tsunami to come in, and that is a large wall of water that's going to bring with it a lot of garbage, petroleum products, possibly dead bodies, sewage, and all kinds of things that are decidedly biohazards. So if we try to contain people in a medical facility, we keep on introducing more biohazards in there, we're going to want to decontaminate them first.
New details about a mysterious hole that opened up in Siberia. Researchers say the night it was formed, people reported hearing a loud explosion and seeing a really strange clear glow in the sky. Ever since the gaping hole was first discovered 3 years ago, it's baffled scientists. The Tamer crater, as it's now called, has grown to 15 times its original size. And now, some 300 miles away, several other holes have formed. Nobody knows how, but theories abound, with people suggesting everything from a methane explosion to secret underground government bunkers to the always popular aliens.
What does that smell? What does that smell?
I heard the initial rush of air as the gas line erupted and started shooting the high-pressure gas in the air. I've heard that before, so I recognized it for what it was. And then immediately thereafter, we heard the police sirens and the fire trucks, and even hydro showing up to clear the area. When I got here, I saw the hole in the street. It was rather amazing because it was a hole in our major street, and so I sought out a higher vantage point to get a better view of it. What I saw was a small hole expanding and growing as the gas was escaping through the water that was forming in the hole and roiling it, so that it was causing erosion. And the erosion, the dirt was coming out from underneath the street, causing the asphalt to collapse into it, eventually moving from a small hole that was 2 or 3 car lengths wide and 1 or 2 deep into sidewalk to sidewalk on the building, and including taking the the taxi cab van that was on the side and sucking it down into the hole.
People are evacuating their homes near Yarnell, Arizona, following the start of a wildfire in the Tenderfoot Hills Wednesday. The fire started in the morning and quickly spread to cover 600 acres by evening. Multiple fire crews are working to contain the fire. However, the dry, hot air and gusty winds are making it difficult. Over 1,000 people are without electricity. Officials report one building has been burnt, but so far there are no injuries or deaths. The cause of the fire is unknown.
Padre, San Antonio. Tons of little crabs. Dead. No idea. Everywhere in pieces.
Indians are famous for traditional medicine treatments. This time, about 100,000 people gathered in Hyderabad to receive an infamous cure for breathing problem. The treatment works in this way. The patient is given live fish to swallow. The small fish's mouth are covered in a yellow medicine and then they are swallowed by the patient. Due to the fish's bad smell, patients are assisted by others who hold their mouth and pinch their nose as they swallow the live animal. The treatment is offered by a family who has been administering the ancestral medicine for 170 years. The family members believe the quote medicine can only be delivered on a special day determined by astrologers.
Anti-transgender flyers left on driveways in Lithia Springs in Douglas County. The handouts state that the Ku Klux Klan is behind them.
Well, residents say they can't figure out whether the Klan is taking a stand on the controversial transgender bathroom issue or if it's just the latest recruitment strategy. Fox 5's Denise Dillon is live in Douglas County.
And Denise, residents there are angry tonight, aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are. Look at this. I got one of the flyers right here. You can clearly see the word transgender across the top. Along the bottom, there's a phone number and a website saying it's for the KKK, even a place to make donations. Now, this one small piece of paper is stirring up a lot of emotions here tonight, from fear to anger.
I am holding a bag full of hatred and racism.
Tanisha Bell is angry over what she found in her driveway. A handout stating it's from the Ku Klux Klan.
Very big concern of mine, the fact that this organization continues to spew hate and racism.
Bell says that's bad enough, but the hate group appears to be tackling the transgender bathroom rights issue, calling transgender people freaks and saying they're jeopardizing the safety of bathrooms all across the nation for our women and children.
they're just showing that they're looking for another group to pick on, you know, and so now they'll probably go after the transgender group, and, you know, God bless us all.
Transgender is an abomination according to the King James Bible.
Chandra Washington is reading the flyer that landed in her driveway.
So you want to talk about the Bible and quote scripture on one line, and then on the other line you want to call the transgender people a freak.
Washington says she believes the group is using the transgender issue as their latest recruitment tool.
They use this transgender issue to actually try to gain people in, try to, you know, manipulate people and, you know, get them on their side, whatever their side is.
Some of the residents who got a flyer showed up at their homeowners meeting Tuesday night to make sure everyone knew what had happened and to make it clear to anyone leaving the messages it won't be tolerated.
This should not be tolerated in 2016 at all, at any level, in any city, in any state, in any subdivision.
The Douglas County Sheriff's Office says they have received complaints about the flyers, though they say there really hasn't been a crime committed, so there isn't much they can do, although they do say they are looking into it. Reporting live in Douglas County, Denise Dillon, Fox 5
A new
News.
baby store in a Chicago suburb is drawing criticism from the area's residents. They seem to have an issue with the size of the diapers, the high chairs, and the cribs being sold. Audrina Beegis from our Chicago station WBBM reports.
We have a lot of new products coming out where a brick and mortar store is going to be the best place to display them.
Displaying a 5.5-foot rocking horse, a 7-foot crib, an oversized high chair, and an adult-sized playpen.
Things for people to come and play, take pictures. Not everybody has access to a nursery.
But the owner of Tykables on West Northwest Highway in Mount Prospect says the primary focus of the business is selling adult diapers.
Our 6-foot-tall diaper tree.
He says the diapers are for medical needs and for ABDL, or adult baby diaper lovers, some with baby or sexual fetishes.
It's hard for us to swallow in this community.
Why isn't their license being pulled?
Residents say what's happening inside the business doesn't belong near schools and homes.
He's getting his party going there, and we're supposed to sit back and watch.
The doors are locked at Tykables, and you can only enter by appointment. The storefront has white panels covering all the windows for privacy, the owner says.
You know, they're not having sex with their diapers on. They're having people feed them and act like a baby.
It's a business that many people find at best is tasteful, but that is legal.
Tykables' business permit application was approved. The village attorney says it has no legal basis to deny it.
I have no words for that story. All right, that was Audrina Beegis.
The moment the attackers pulled out their guns was caught on CCTV cameras. They're dressed in dark suits and shot randomly at patrons before one of the weapons appears to jam or run out of bullets. Then the two gunmen, who are believed to be cousins, are seen leaving the coffee shop at this upscale market in the heart of Tel Aviv. But their escape was short-lived. Another video shows an Israeli policeman opening fire at one of the shooters. He was taken to hospital for surgery. The second attacker was arrested. Prime Minister Netanyahu, who returned from a trip to Moscow shortly after the shooting, went straight to Tel Aviv, where he shared a security meeting and visited the scene of the attack.
This is a savage crime of murder and terrorism in the heart of Tel Aviv. It's done by criminal terrorists who don't value human life. I think a larger tragedy was avoided by the resolute action of citizens, of security people, police. We're going to take the necessary steps to attack the attackers.
The Sarona market is home to a large number of food outlets and cafes. It's busy in the evenings.
I was with my wife and some friends in a cafe. We heard what sounded to be an explosion, and when there was more than one boom, we went back into the cafe. It seemed to be an attack. Everybody was in shock. What should be a safe place, a place of enjoyment, turned into an unsafe place.
Just a few weeks ago, Tel Aviv police raised concerns about the lack of appropriate security at the market. It's also very close to the defense military compound, which also raises questions about how the attackers could reach a heavily secured area so easily. Prime Minister Netanyahu has vowed to, quote, attack the attackers without specifying further what action Israel could take. But already the army has been sent to Yatta, an area south of Hebron, where the two cousins lived. But the Prime Minister will also have to answer a question on the mind of many Israelis. How could such a serious attack take place in a highly sensitive part of the city? Huda Abdelhamid, Al Jazeera, Tel Aviv.
Israeli forces, reinforced by 2 battalions, wasted no time conducting early morning raids in the West Bank village of Yatta, looking for a connection to the 2 accused terrorists' cousins, both in their early 20s. The Israeli government announced a travel freeze on 83,000 Palestinians, blocking them from entering Israel, including to the most holy Al-Aqsa Mosque during the Muslim observance of Ramadan. This was the scene of the terror attack in downtown Tel Aviv hours earlier, seen on surveillance video. 2 gunmen opened fire inside the restaurant, shooting as diners try to flee. Then the gunmen take the shooting outside, a horrifying scene in an open-air market in the heart of Tel Aviv. Maital Sassi posted this video to Facebook in the moments after the attack. You can see the ambulance lights in the background. She was in the market for her 2-year-old son's birthday. She returned in the morning to come to terms with what she'd seen.
It was a few minutes that I never forget. It was a shock.
By the morning, evidence of the attack already gone, replaced with regular customers. The Tel Aviv mayor said terrorism would not defeat this city. He urged everyone to believe in peace, something that is now much harder for Maital Sassi.
I want to believe, but it's very hard because you see the problem. It's like everywhere. It's beneath your home. I mean, like, I don't know how do I take my kid to this restaurant.
There have been concerns about security at the Sarona market for months. Is it too open, too accessible, too easy a target?
When a person decides, based on incitement, that he is getting a weapon and goes to kill as many Israelis as he can, we cannot have the alert for that. We cannot know that in advance.
Now, additional security guards patrol the market, trying to restore a sense of safety that was gone Wednesday night. Fred Pleiken, CNN, Tel Aviv.
Vernon, Washington, Emil Grafstra has capabilities unlike anyone around. To access his storage facility, all he has to do is raise his hand. To get into his car, again, put out his hand. Grafstra has 4 radio frequency identification tags in his hand and arm.
Many people thought that I was like working for the government with tracking devices or something. You know, a lot of people were just upset about humans being treated like cattle. Back then it was death threat, death threat. Ooh, that's interesting. Death threat, death threat. Now it's more like, ooh, that's kind of cool. What can it do? What can I do with it? And like, how much does it cost?
A doctor inserted Grafstra's first tag 10 years ago, and since then he's inserted implants into more than 700 people. He also partners with more than 100 body piercers nationwide, who have implanted thousands more. Grafstra's company, Dangerous Things, sells $40 do-it-yourself kits, which include the tag, syringe, and non-toxic materials.
The only problems that we've ever had is when somebody did it themselves and they put it in completely wrong. I mean, that's why we partner with piercers and people who are professionals. Yeah, this guy just like rammed it straight into the muscle, and that was a bad thing. But as far as like breaking or anything like that, anyone that places it correctly, which is almost everybody, except for a few exceptions, and do a good job of keeping it clean during the procedure, then there's no risk of infection.
And Emil isn't done with his products either. In fact, he's already installed his latest prototype. It's right here. You can see it. It's 5 times the length of the other devices, and it's called Yuki, which stands for You Are the Key. Yuki utilizes near-field communication to allow for one-time password generation, transferring contacts, Bitcoin payments, and downloading apps. Because the implants rely on power from the devices they communicate with, Grafstra is working on a non-toxic, flexible battery, even having gone so far as to insert a small solar panel into his arm temporarily for testing. It's all part of a movement known as biohacking.
It goes into the body and you forget about it. and it just does its job. It's like your kidneys are working right now really hard, but you don't think about them. They become so much a part of you that you consider yourself to be a new kind of augmented person.
Put this online.
Grasser says he's had customers as young as 14 and as old as 65, and even installed one in his wife, which the couple affectionately calls an engagement chip. Mark New, CCTV, Mount Vernon, Washington.
Out right now. Out of the car. Out of the car. Taser deployment. On the ground. Out of the car, on the ground. On the ground. Ah! I told you. Hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. You don't like to play by the rules, do you? Roll over. Roll over. I'm 1019, 1 accepted. If you want to start AMR, check him out.